Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which can be peppery, well, can be definitely acidic, very bitter, honey, very salty, but at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet. Hi,
Hooray!
sweet,
So
what's
today we're talking
happening?
about Love After Lockup, Season 4, Episode 37, Red Flag After Red Flag, Skylar. I mean, I think he's a sweet guy, but he might be bad.
I loved his speech. Should we start with them? I mean, here
Yeah,
we are. Okay,
he's abusive, period.
he's abusive?
Yeah, he's abusive and this is my hot take. He's
Oh.
abusive and he's manipulative. But go ahead. If you have a different take, go ahead.
He is someone who can't be in a relationship right now. He knows in his heart that he has work to do, and I don't think that he's a bad person. I think that he actually says the work that he's in a way in which he's trying to do through the guise and through the perception of someone who is Nathan, who's a tree trimmer from the middle of Blobbity Blue. So yeah, so I listen, I will get into it. So let's go back. So obviously this is the morning after he and Nathan and Skylar had their date, where right when their food came, like Skylar picked up a phone call, FaceTime, from like some dude, and Nathan like lost his like ever living mind and then was like, we gotta leave, like I want to leave. And she's like, no, you can leave. I'm just gonna like sit here and enjoy my food. And then so he leaves. The whole time he was like this, which we loved, like being like, well, I'm walking out the restaurant. He looks back and she's just like, and he's just like, well, I'm getting my car. And she's just like, and he just like calls her when he's down the street. He's like, no, I'm in the car and I'm down the alley, and she's like, uh-huh. And then as he does this, some dude walks over, gives her a shot, and he overhears like, some shot or whatever. Ends up being some asshole that's like, honestly, like stole money. She stole money from, or stole money from her. Who knows? Whatever. God bless. Like, I don't think he was like trying to hit on her, but he lost his mind. Blah blah blah. The next morning, he, by the way, is tree trimming, which we love to see. With his like friend, is like he describes as a dad bro cousin. Like someone that he trusts. Okay, and then they try and talk about what happens last night, but this fucking like electric saw that they're using to chop down these trees is loud as fuck. I'm like, how can they hear each other? Do these men talk to each other usually with little like ear pads? They should have, not ear pads, what's it called? Earphones, like, because how do you hear? It's kind of like that thing where I have this thing where I get really annoyed when people try and talk to me when it's obvious that I'm doing something that's like loud. Like people will like try and talk to me as I'm vacuuming, and I'll be like, weird that you think that I can hear you. Or like people trying to talk to me when I'm washing the dishes. I'm like, weird that you think I can hear you. People try and talk to me when I'm like washing my face, or they know I'm in the bathroom, like in the shower or washing my face. It's just like, it's that you want me to turn this off, this noise off, to listen. Is what you want me to do in this moment? Wow.
This is a great insight into Chris Farah. So yeah, she does get very upset, as though it is purposeful, or that it is like a snatching of her attention in this moment, right? And really all that it is all that she needs to do instead of getting upset. Well, it's her. She gets upset. That's fine. That's fine. But what I'm saying is like when I find myself getting upset about things, I'm always like, do I need to get upset? And then sometimes the answer is yes, right? But sometimes the answer is, no. All I have to do is finish doing what I'm doing and then turn to them and be like, girl, I didn't hear anything you just said. One more time. And it takes the power from it takes that bit of angst away, because you are relieving yourself of the stress that is unnecessary, when all you have to do is smile through it and don't feel as though they are like purposefully trying to ruin your life in this one moment of just wanting, just gabbing, and like not thinking about it. You know what I would do to make a joke is, if I'm washing dishes and someone's talking to me, I would turn to them and be like, and then when I'm done, make them say the whole thing over again. And that is the lesson that needs to be learned. And they won't do it again. I think you should be super petty with it, Chris. I think that you should just continue your action and just be petty. And at the end, be like, hey, girl, not one word. One more time. And
I'm
who
not petty. This is one part of, like, I get what I'm doing is fucked up, but you also I can see, like, sometimes you do, like, passive aggressive petty stuff that isn't in my nature.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like, I'm
Uh,
like, "Oh, I'm not gonna feed into this," and then when the person asks me about it, I'm gonna look at them just as blankly as they're looking at me, and it is that moment of like, no, we're both just gonna suffer through this moment together." Anywho, but yes, I do see it, and I definitely try to remember that you might not be able to hear me in that moment. Um,
this is now about
so
us. Anyways, let's go back to this dumb show we're talking
so
about.
the person is his like I think it's his uncle, and he said or it's somebody is related to him, and that person has filled many roles in Nathan's life. They like committed crimes together, they did drugs together, they went to prison together, and now that guy just got out of prison, so he's having to manage the emotional grid of two folk that just came out of prison and try to take care of them. And he acknowledges to Billy Bob or whatever his name, Barry, that's his name. He acknowledges that he messed up last night with Barry, and then we like cut to Skylar taking a bunch of laundry to her mother for her mother to do, and her mother is just enabling her, which I was like, "Ma'am, if you want to help this woman like get on with her sobriety, don't do her laundry, please." But anyway, so the mother's like, whatever, and Skylar says the funniest thing. She says, "Nathan got cray cray in the middle of Muddy Myers." What the fuck is Muddy Myers?
That restaurant, I guess, where, like, they have strawberry lemonade as one of the flavors of wine that they were going to, like, offer them. I mean, I know. So, yeah, like, her mom's house is, like, beautiful, like, her brother's there. It's just, like, everything is so pristine. I'm just, like, in my mind, I'm like, "What the heck?" It's so funny, like, what is this lifestyle? Like, what is this world, where, like, the mom's just like, "My fucked up daughter that I could have really taken every privilege and every, like, thing that she was given and really be like, try and make something of herself." And she just, like, at every turn chooses the most unfortunate choice.
Yeah. I
That's what
mean,
Yeah,
I
I
used to
don't
think because I have like such like crazy familial bonds that like the expectation is like none of us could truly be drug addicts and then like come around afterwards. Like we would have to be drug addicts and like fully just disappear until we were 5 years sober and then come back because of the shame upon your clan, upon your family that obviously doesn't exist with her. She's like, my parents love me regardless. And I'm like, my parents will not love me regardless. Like, I will have brought shame upon the family in such a heavy way that I must not return and, whatever. So,
Yeah,
though,
like, think about Lindsay's mom. Like, Lindsay's mom is, like, cold with her a little bit. Skylar's
mhm.
mom is like, "Welcome back, like, nothing ever happened."
I think it's because Skylar doesn't have a child that has had to be taken care of. I think the mother, yeah. But I will say this. I wish her brother were just a little thicker. Don't you just wish that overall he was more manly? Then I would have been like, oh, hello, Skylar's brother. He's just like giving like, he's just tall and skinny and he's young. That's why he's young. But like and when that man gets thick, oof.
Yeah, and then, like, it's like this is like summer nights because then it cuts back to, like, he said, she said, and, like, Skylar is just like, or sorry, Nathan is just like in the trees, honey, like, I love her so much. You love her. No, she's it. She's it. She is the one, honey. I'm going to propose, and it's just like, yeah, it's her. It's like, I can't be messing with no basic bitch. And is what he says.
I know.
And it's so interesting. It's like this going back to this idea of how Nathan has put Skylar in like on a pedestal in his mind of what she means to him. And it's like class and like economic level and whatever it means. Like she means something to him that has of having ascertained a certain something. Maybe it means that if he can keep her, that he's the good man that he wants to be. It's like everything is like wrapped up in some sort of like psyche. But the fact that he thinks that she's not basic when she's shopping at TJ Maxx and she's been in I mean, like, what is your idea? Okay, so is a basic person not been in prison and she's not basic because she's been in prison? Is it that you think that she's rich and therefore she's not basic? I want to know exactly what that meant. Why?
You know what I think? I think
What?
that being basic is relative to your surroundings.
Yeah,
And so
subjective.
I
So
think yes, subjective, subjective. So I think that's what we're missing. Like when he's talking about basic, he means Taylor of Taylor and Chance. Okay. Let's move on. So
oh, because it's so interesting because, like, in the Zeitgeist, basic means, like, pumpkin spice lattes, like, literally, you know what I'm saying? And it's like but basic also could easily mean shopping at Ross, Marshalls, or TJ Maxx. I'm sorry, I'm not saying it's bad. Basic because the thing about basic, it means, like, most people do something. Is it most people? It is what you can find, and there's certain behaviors or certain things, you know, like a pumpkin spice latte is like a basic, fun, weird thing that people think about. But like, Skylar isn't above basic in any way and has never shown that.
yeah, but I think it's because she goes to the salon and gets her hair done as opposed to in her mother's kitchen. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I think that he is like, yeah, you're right. And pumpkin spice latte is like very basic for a very specific type of woman. That's why. Like, you know, it's like a base, I don't know, like yeah. So so the mother is trying her best to like and she thinks that she's killing it. The mother thinks that she is dropping seeds that make sense to Skylar about like how much she loves Nathan. He's so great. However, I mean, he got mad at you in front of everybody. And she's like, well, it's not like I felt like he was dangerous. She's like, he was danger. No, I didn't feel like he was. Oh, no, not dangerous, not dangerous. So not gonna, he was gonna hit you. Like, no, he's not gonna hit me. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I didn't think Nathan would hit you, Skylar. Like, she was just so roundabout with trying to like poke and show Skylar some like red flags without hitting her over the head with it, but she was hitting me over the head constantly with the red flag talk. And I love it when she's like, oh yeah, and then like Jonas called and the brother was like, oh, we love Jonas, and everyone's like, yeah, we love Jonas, and they blotted out Jonas's name or whatever. But so the person who called was like a family friend. So, and I'm like, Skylar, I get you're on a TV show, but I wish there would be one point where like a person would try to protect the person that they're with so that the family didn't think the worst of them. But I guess you have to like, you know, have these conversations out loud and whatever. So we cut back to Nathan and he's talking about how he's going to marry her. And then we have a moment where we have a like a little mini thing where we talk about her prison Barbie status and how she got all the makeup and did all the girls' eyebrows. And like I guess from the time she first got to prison, you couldn't get makeup, but then by the time she left, you could get all the things. I wasn't sure. But yeah, do you have anything about you wanted to mention about prison Barbie or her
Of
makeup? Because
course,
I have a
I
makeup,
do.
I have a makeup thing that I think you will agree with.
Okay. I would be this. This would be me, and I'd be this. This is me, and I'd be this. I would be known as also I mean, like, I wouldn't say Barbie, but, you know, like, prison Pat McGrath. No, maybe, like, prison Natasha Denona. I mean, think what's, like prison Huda. Prison Huda. Okay, so sorry, I had to find one that was maybe more, like, a culturally appropriate. And yeah, you know, I think here's the thing. I refuse to do makeup with products that aren't like made as makeup and aren't healthy for you unless it's like something that is like easy. Like I wouldn't put pet like Sharpie on someone's eye or whatever the fuck people do because I would rather just not wear makeup than like go blind, you know? But if we're have access to things, then sure. Now, do I want to use Wet and Wild? I don't. You know, like unfortunately I'm bougie, you know, but I wonder what kind of makeup they can get there. She says at some point that like someone had snuck in a straightener, honey. So if they're sneaking in straighteners, which is like a weapon, then like someone can like sneak in like a palette of, you know, like high quality with like creamy talc free powders. What?
Well, you have to make sure that you do a white collar crime so you could end up in the kind of prison that would afford such items. Because I was just more concerned about is it that important to straighten your hair, Chris? Like, let me know.
No.
Like, okay, great. Because I'm
But
like,
wait,
mhm,
listen. Not for me. And but the thing about it is I don't know what her natural texture is
mhm.
and her you know, like, the thing about it is I like a little wave. You might need a little product and a little, like, you know, knuckling. I don't know what her natural text yeah, I wonder what her natural texture is. It might just to me, it's like it looks just like it's kind of, like, thick. So maybe she just didn't want it to be frizzy, and, like, that's really old school to then just, like, straighten frizzy hair as opposed to, like, either giving it a natural body wave by using, like, a sleepy in roller or some there's so many other options now, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I often admire women who will put gussy up or get themselves together for nobody else but themselves. So like the idea of me even hunting for makeup in prison it wouldn't I wouldn't that would not be on top of my list. What would be top of my list is getting some top ramen. So that's me and that's the difference. So I was like, "Girl, who cares about this makeup?" But obviously, it was important to her. So
I love you. Wait, I love you so much. I would hope that it also like this is a spicy one for you. I see what you're
yes.
saying, but I also wonder this: like, if you listen, if I'm in prison, there are certain things that you offer everyone else, and that's like your status within everything, right? Like you can barter certain things, right? Like I would like to go in as being whatever beauty expert I can to I feel like what are my prison skills that I would keep me safe and keep me in power because I'm useful to certain people. Like,
Uh-huh. You know what I
okay,
would do?
what?
I would, read all of your documents and interpret them for you and or help you write documentation that you would need. I'm very good at that. The next thing I would do is I would have sex with the most powerful people. Like, I would be sell my body. I would have sex. So, like,
Wait, I'm dead.
that
No,
is
I'm dead.
I fully like, the first thing I thought of was like, "Fuck." I would yes. I would find the chapel or in the comments, I don't know, the lunchroom somewhere, but I would find the biggest and the baddest bitch and I would be her girlfriend.
Would you just go up to yourself and offer yourself like some sort
Mhm.
of harem woman and like
I would start flirting. 100%. I would start flirting. Yeah. It would probably be the most sex I'd ever had in my entire life.
God, heard it here first, docu-sweeties. Anyway, love at the lockup.
Um,
Um,
so here's my one thing. Skylar puts on brown liner like underneath her bottom lashes, like to add dimension, and then doesn't do anything up top and just gives
yeah,
a little bit of a mascara. And I think it makes her look older.
yes.
And so my suggestion to her would be to, if she did that, maybe give a little white in the waterline or not do that at all and just do what her mom does, because her mom looked great in this episode. Just the mascara and that's it. And then maybe like a little brown on the top lid and maybe smoke it out just a little bit if she was doing that natural look. Um,
Wait, I have to say yes. Another thing she does is she has contour on in her confessional and in real life. There you can see the contour and no blush on. This also makes you look older. It makes you have a sunken in look. Now, I'm not saying that's bad, but the good thing about contour and giving yourself a cheekbone is also giving yourself the youth and vibrance of a little blush, sorry, a little blush to kind of give yourself that color, which she's not doing. The thing for her eyes is what I would do, which I highly recommend for anyone because she has big eyes, would be to do an eyeshadow underneath and give yourself like the look of a bigger eye socket there. Really minimal, uh, either eyeliner or eyeshadow liner underneath, either in the rim or underneath to just accentuate it. And then you can either do a light cat eye or, whatever, a little like shadow liner there, and it'll make your eyes look so big. Her mom looked great this episode. I just want to like clarify, or I just want to like co-sign that she does the whole time just give like she wants to be cool mom to her daughter, which is one of the reasons why I feel like her daughter like maybe doesn't have her head on straight. Well, go ahead.
And also, like, where's the dad? Didn't they go to church every Sunday? Okay, so let's move on to the fact to Nathan and Skylar finally meeting up at a park together, and this is where I think the abuse continues. So, she's like, "Hey, so I want to talk about yesterday," and he goes, "Yeah." So basically, what it was for me is that I have been doing everything in order to prep for you coming out of prison. My life has been 100% about you, and the first time that we get to sit down and have a meal, you answer the phone to speak to some other guy, and that really hurt my feelings. And for me, I feel bad for what I did and I shouldn't have reacted that way, and that's one of the things that I need to work on. And she's like, okay, yes, great. And and you went from 0 to 100, and like that was a lot. And so what can we do to kind of prevent that? And he's like, you could pay attention to me the whole time. Like, he says, I can't remember exactly what he says to her, but he says something to her that it was basically like, it was your fault. This is your fault. Your fault. I take responsibility for me, but the truth is how we can avoid it is that you be on my side the entire time.
When I ask you to do something and I'm having anxiety, you have to just do it. Just
Oh,
like what
okay.
he says.
So what do you think about that?
Listen, no, the truth of the matter is when you have anxiety, and we really are watching someone who has a hardcore anxiety problem, the work is you are going to have to learn how to manage it. And you already talk about parts of it, which is being less reactive to people. He's like, I can't let people's actions dictate my emotions, which is exactly what happened. She answered a phone, and that made him have an emotional reaction. I, you know, it's hard for people to have anxiousness and what you can only ask for from a loved one is just a little space. You can't ask a loved one to change how they behave or their action around you unless what they're doing is so detrimental to you that you would, whether it's it's I guess it's a balance thing. What she did was rude and she apologized. I thought that what she did was rude. I think that you shouldn't answer a FaceTime of anyone while you're at a restaurant, on a date or with someone you love, and the meal just came, much less another guy. Of course that's rude. And she said so. Yeah, I think that if she is constantly disrespecting him, I think that's something to be said. But I think that was more the conversation than you have to drop whatever you're doing when I'm having an emotional episode to help me through it.
Yeah, I think that she's like, "Okay." And this is after he just finished telling her that he's been doing everything for her. And
Hmm.
so she's like, "Okay, but can we manage the 0 to 60? Can we manage that? Like where is there a
Right.
spot in between where you can just say, "Hey babe, I spent so much time prepping for this day and I truly just want it to be us. Can I have that?" And then when she's just like insisting on her way, then being like, "Okay, well now my time is done here. I'm going to go home. I really feel upset that what you've done," or whatever. Like having it not be a scene, not creating a scene. That's the most important thing I think. Um and
Yeah,
he's
he
just like,
one
"You need to
okay.
listen to me."
Mhm. Yep, exactly. He says, "As a man, I'm still becoming a man, a good man, and there's still a lot of bad man in me." And then he cried, and she's like, "Oh, why are you crying?" She,
Yeah.
loves that he's sensitive. When she was in prison, he was there for her, and he's sensitive, and I think that she felt like his love and support of her in a time of need that made her feel, somewhat obligatory towards her feelings. She says that she's in love with him, but her actions almost feel more like this addict-style emotional obligation to someone, and maybe, triggered by her PTSD from other relationships. I feel like she's in a bad relationship cycle, honey. None of this is good.
Yeah, I don't think she is in love with him. I don't think she knows what that means. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Ashley and Travis, just because we haven't talked about them in a long time. And this took a turn I did not expect it to take. It was really interesting.
Oh, shit.
So we've got Travis and Ashley, and we haven't seen them in, and I think 2 episodes, maybe one, but it just felt so long.
Yep.
So we start off with him jumping in bed and her being like, "Babe, be naked when I get in there." And then him being like, "Okay, I'm a romantic ninja." And he gets in the bed and he gets naked and he talks about he's about to pitch a tent. She gets some kind of text message or phone call and flips out as though, wow, you know what? What I find people's ability to just deny the glaring people's ability to focus in on the things that they want to focus in on their lives as opposed to the bigger things that are affecting them is just so interesting to me because her entire life crumbles in 3 weeks. That close to your life crumbling, going to whatever to pick up whomever is wild.
Sorry, you cut out. Say that again.
Oh shoot. So it's really interesting to me that people are unable to manage the thing that's happening in front of their face. The fact that her life crumbled in 3 weeks is just wild to me. It is like you knew this was happening and it finally happened and that's when you chose to deal with it, not before.
Yeah, it makes it seem like did she just know about this? This is how she describes it, that she got a text from the landlord and that he probably wants the place back, but basically he doesn't want a felon living in the house, and he would be over all the time and see the pictures of him, Nathan, sorry, wrong person. Travis in her house and knew that he was a felon. Like none of that makes sense to me. I'm like, why was the landlord at your house all the time? Why was the landlord looking at pictures and knowing who that person was? How did he know he was a felon? What were the pictures of his mugshots everywhere? Like, I literally what? And also, they can't even come in your house and let you. Well, I don't know how it is in Florida, my love, but basically, where I rent in California, they can't even come in the house unless I allow them to. And my landlords can't be like, "Great, so who's that person? Tell me all about that person, that picture, and that person, that person." Like, what? I would have to have given all of this drunkenly to them over hours and days and days and days for them to know the information, which I think is what happened. Hi there, she's crazy. I mean, we just I know got off talking about Nathan and his anxiety. I think and I'm no allegedly I no, I am no doctor, so allegedly I feel like this person has a full personality disorder. Okay? So that's where I just want to be sued. I think Ashley is but fucking bananas. I think that she is crazy. This is like she goes 0 to 60 and she cries. I mean, this is not normal. And I does Travis know yet, or is he still thinks that he can get money out of her? It's so funny. And this is what I've been wanting to see how this has like will divulge in or will like break down into like devastation. And the fact that it happens 4 days in is great. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, is it only 4 days in? Yeah, 4 days in. Yeah, because he's laying in the bed and they say 4 days out of prison. So, anyways, her landlord tells her that she needs to be out in 2 weeks, and she's purchased all this furniture and stuff for him, and it feels as though she has no rights. I'm like, "You don't have any rights as a renter? What are the laws in Florida? Someone tell us. What are the laws in Florida?" Because he can't just give her 2 weeks notice to get out of a home. Like, and go ahead.
Unless in the rental contract he says that you cannot that there are no felons allowed. You can say that, and then if she breaks that by having a felon move in.
Yeah, but the sheriff, usually it takes a while. I mean, maybe this is California law, but usually it takes a while because there's like squatters laws, right? So once your landlord chooses to kick you out, you then become a squatter, and then you're still allowed to stay there for X amount of time. And so the fact that she just like she told her landlord too much effing information. Her name is on the lease. She's allowed to let whoever stay there that she wants to, and it's her. It's she has unless you're right, unless he has some crazy stipulation where he just truly has a vendetta out for felons and would absolutely think to write that in a lease. Um, and then the camera crew is like, "Hey, what's happening?" And she flips out on them and it's like, "Get the F out of my house." Da, 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 da. Travis is like, "What is going on?" He's laying in the bed naked, and then he pops up with the pants on, and then he's like, "Just go in the bed, babe. Like, I will handle." She's like, "What are you gonna talk to them about?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm going to talk to them like they're humans, I suppose, and like explain that you're having a moment and that, and could you imagine having to deal with this 4 days out of prison? Like, regardless of how long you've been talking to somebody, but like you've never had to manage their emotional grid this way. And the at the earliest possible opportunity, they just have a meltdown on you with no regard and then starts to make you feel bad about yourself and scream at you when you're just trying to help them. And uh, the way she was screaming at those producers, I would have been like, "Bitch."
I literally was like, why are you mad at them? Like, because they're filming you, bitch. Like, you knew they were going to be filming you. Like, she's just mad that well, yeah, I don't know why she's mad, because what ends up happening is it's like she didn't realize she was on a reality show and that her life was in the way it was, but she knew because she said herself that we get like more and more details, right? Like that she has only sold 70,000 in 2 years, and at one point she bought like a 70,000 thing one day, like how, and she can't afford anything, and she obviously was living behind, over her means by having this house with a pool. In my mind, I'm like, Matt can't just ask your weird ass neighbor with like, the walnut in his chin to like see if he can give you some money. Like, I wonder if that neighbor was the one that told the landlord, being like, "Did you hear? Yeah, he's a full on felon. And sometimes she hooks up with me when she drinks too much." Was I supposed to tell you that part to landlord too? But that's what happens.
Yeah, I thought too it could have been Marvin or Martin or whatever his name is. Yeah, so she freaks out, and then, the camera crew goes away, and then we get the camera crew back, and all of a sudden they were in a hotel, and we're,
I
like,
know.
wildly confused. And so then he's, like, trying to, like, make her feel good about herself and telling her, she's the hottest woman at the pool. And then, he's got a lot to do. So it turns out he calls his mother, and he's like, "Hey, mom, just wanna let you know we got in late last night." And he explains to his mother that they, in the last 2 weeks, have had to sell everything and only pack in their Jaguar SUV what could fit, and that she wasn't allowed to, like, give back the car. And I'm like, "False, you could have taken that car to CarMax, and they would have purchased it from you and paid it off, and then you would have not had a car, but you would not have had to keep the car." Anyway, so, so you could have done that. And, like, I'm like, also Facebook Marketplace, she literally could have sold everything in that home in 2 weeks. People are ripping and ready and raring to get, things. So the mother is like, "Oh, you didn't even put it in storage?" And he's like, "No, we don't have any money." And, if it turns out that she has run out of money, and she's been run out of money. She must have just been living off of credit cards. And she then, when he goes down to hang out with her, uh, turns it around on him and is like, "Well, you need to get a fucking job." And he's like, "Well, if I knew that you had the financial situation that you had, I would have known to figure something out, but I thought I would have a while to, like, get my bearings." And so he had to, like, change his whole, like, he had to talk to his PO and get his parole home changed over to wherever his mother lives. And I'm like, "Are they both gonna live with his mother?" Like, Chris, tell me what's going on.
You're right, I had no idea about that, and, like, I'm just literally it's a countdown of when he truly leaves her and goes just stays at his mom's. Like, I can't believe it hasn't happened yet, because I mean, I hate to say this, it's just this is the perfect couple for Love After Lockup. I'm gonna tell you this right now. We didn't have them, at least I think it was 1 episode, but they are, in fact, so great that it felt like more. And it always is the testament for any of these, couple-based shows. For me to love them is when I miss them for an episode and I realize when they come back how much I like they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
She's bananas in her own way, right? And I think I've already said that, like, and I'm so sorry for her. Like, I feel bad because I feel that she really has a mental disease. So I don't mean to make fun of it, but that's what I think is happening. Plus, I think there's like some other weird addiction happening. We don't know. At one point, she's like blowing up honey like a pool toy by the
The
thing, and I
ring.
and I thought for a moment that she was huffing on camera. I was like, because I like him, because she's so bananas, right? So I
But I
was like,
mean,
"Is it?"
Chris,
I'm
they
just
said
saying,
that
I
they
don't know.
packed up all the necessities, but in that necessities was that inflatable ring that she bought for their pool, and that's what she was having him blow up.
Yep,
I mean,
good point.
listen, I know that, it folded up, took up absolutely no space. But that was, like, the weirdest thing that she was like, "Babe, it's my inflatable ring. I gotta take it with us." And meanwhile, she had, like, a whole china cabinet, a whole dining room set. She had a living room set. She had a bedroom set. She had every bit of that house detailed. I mean, she bought pictures. And the thing is, though, Chris, like, when did she buy that? In the last 2 years? When she didn't only made 70K, or right before the pandemic? Like, what?
You're
What?
absolutely right. She said she's out 6K, which is her security and 2 months rent, which makes me feel like her rent for that house was 2K. That means 2K, 2K, 4K, that's 2 months rent and maybe a 2K security deposit.
How did he not give that back to her? Like, this is what I'm saying. I wanna know what it is that she breached to where she couldn't even get him to give her the money for the things.
One point is okay, so I don't know if this is also something. I don't know. But she has that animal. Did you notice that one point that was hilarious we never talked about is that when she loses her goddamn mind back at the house, like she like, locks herself in the bathroom and she's like, "No one in here. No one in here." That she meets the producers, but then she's like, "Especially and also you, Travis, not you. Not you." And Travis can't come in the room yet, but then she's like, "Oh, but baby, you come in." And she like lets her like whatever dog, cat, I forgot what animal she likes. By the way, where's that animal now? I don't know because I don't know if it's a hotel that's, pet friendly. It
No,
is?
no, yeah. The Teddy is the dog, and Teddy is there. He's
Great.
he's there with him.
Yeah, Teddy gets in, she's like, I don't know, that poor dog has seen so many things. Like, how remember like Ryan, Stephanie, remember how Stephanie had those cats and we were like,
Yeah.
what those cats have seen? I feel the same way about this Teddy, honey. What he's seen between this Ashley and like like the lonely, scary nights. Oh, I'm so sorry for him. So yeah, at this hotel, she's swimming in a pool with no one else, is why she looks the hottest. But she's actually, I think she looks hot as hell in this bathing suit. But it was just an eye roll when the editors just made us know that there was no one else in this pool, honey. So yeah, basically it's a countdown for when he's going to leave her because obviously he came out thinking that he was going to have a cushy life, honey, a pool cushy life, you know what I'm saying? And he has to blow up his own cush. It is not as great. Okay, babe. Anything else about them?
Yeah, I mean, no, besides the fact that like I want more of them all the time, and I'm sad that there was like a moment that she didn't allow them to film so that we couldn't see
I know.
like all of the other stuff.
I agree. Let's move on to this couple. I don't have that much to say about them. Justine and Michael. Um, yeah, like, I don't know. I think that we liked them at the beginning, and now I'm just gonna be honest, like they're gonna be coming boring. Everything is gonna be about like what a perfect couple they are and all the business ventures. Here's Michael. It starts with working on the HP, talking about his shoe line, because he's like a rapper slash shoemaker, just like Easy.
And it's gonna be exquisite. I love it when people use words that I'm just like, why did you choose that word? Do you think that these shoes are defined as this exquisite? So like, yeah, the fake drama is that all of a sudden this grown ass cheerleader who has tattoos and a belly ring is just playing, pillow fights with her brothers. Like maybe there are some happy, 17-year-olds who just would love to play with their like 13 and 9-year-old brother while their new stepdad is like right in the other room. And, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe it's real, but that was such a fake scene of him being frustrated with them. I'm like, why aren't these kids in their room playing video games and shit? Like, what are they down here doing?
The way that he sat down on the couch and was like, listen, blah, da, 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 da. I was like, oh my God, honey, this is like reminds me of when I first got out of college and I had to like take like an on-camera class like somewhere in LA or whatever, and I just had to watch people act, and I was just like, kill me.
I mean, yeah, it was
If you had
bad.
me to do
And
it.
I don't like the way she spells the name Santana. It's spelled Nah at the end, and I'm like, just go Satana. Like, why do you have to put an H at the end? But anyways, maybe because the daughter's name is Savannah. Did I make that up? I don't know. Anyways, so uh,
No, I'm like, I can't, I think maybe, yeah, I don't know, honey, I don't know.
Savannah, Santana, and then the youngest one. Anyways, he calls her. He's like, "You hear these kids running around? Meanwhile, they're like, teenager, preteen, and like a child." And she's in a grocery store and a drugstore getting various products, and the last product she chooses to get in her hand, and the whole time I was like, "Girl, get a basket. Just go
I
get a
do this.
handheld basket."
I do this all the time. It's because she thought she was going to get one thing, honey, but she got into that CVS drugstore beauty aisle and all the shit. Then she saw the purple Aussie hair product and she was like, I need something like that, and then she's like, oh shit, I also need that. Meanwhile, he's on the phone, she's juggling, and then like cut to like 45 minutes later, every arm has things hanging off and she has to like tootle up to like the checker and be like, that's
Yes.
me every time.
You just gotta go in. You just gotta get a basket. This is what I have. I once had the propensity to do that, and then I got fed up with myself when I dropped something once, and I was like, never again. Anytime I walk into these kinds of stores, I'm getting a basket. If there's one item in it when I get to the register, so be it. But I'm just gonna get a basket, get a
But
little
it
handheld
stopped me
basket.
from overspending
Oh,
because if I can't carry it, just at some point I gotta edit.
okay. Okay. So she gets a pregnancy test and like I mean I give her an Emmy, right? She's like shrugs her shoulders, looks left, looks right, kind of has it doesn't look at the camera though, right? Because she's acting. And she's like, "Oh, I guess I'll take this." So she gets it, she gets to the house and she's like, "Mike, yeah, I mean you gotta you got this is how it is when you have kids, you just have to like you deal with it. I don't even hear them anymore. I block them out." So they go upstairs and before they go upstairs, he's like, "Babe, what did I tell you about working? I told you to stop that." And she's like, "Okay, Mike, I don't want to have this conversation because I might be pregnant. And so, and then she's like, I really don't want to. And I said, God, this is
Yeah,
what I always want to
I
hear.
know. I thought of you.
So whenever I have a situation where a woman isn't like, thank you so much, I'm so happy that I found you, and I'm so happy that you're the type of man who put things in place in their lives to where they can take care of the woman that they choose to be with and or their kids. Like, I'm really grateful for your choices in life. But no, babe, because I really think that we should have the extra income right now to save, because right now we don't have any savings. But I do appreciate it and I love you. Come upstairs, so let me give you a little something. So they go up the stairs. He's like, ta 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 on her butt. And she's like, stop touching on my butt. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy for you. And so they get into the bathroom and he's like, look how I look. And she's like, yeah. And I said the same thing. I said, someone come and take care of Michael. Why does he look this way?
Mhm, mhm. I know. Yeah, he's so charming and he's so handsome, and I love her too and the way she looks and their sexual chem is just like makes me happy for them. But yeah, I know. I listen. She was like, I don't know, because if we have a baby, I need the insurance, and like the sneakers, this exquisite sneaker business like doesn't have like all the insurance, I guess, or whatever, but it's bustling, I guess. Yeah, I really would love to be with a man that had gotten his life together in such a way that his career was a just an evergreen flowing of money and options and security for me to sit back in my feminine power and color our lives with beauty and grace and luxury and elegance, you know?
Yeah.
Great. So anyway, so I mean, yeah, so that's I mean, they're boring. But listen, Justine Happy, their sex great, their actual storyline boring.
Yeah. So then he's like, here's the pregnancy test. Oh my God, you could be pregnant. She's like, yeah, and we're gonna have 8 kids if that's a fact. And I'm like, yeah. And so then yeah, that's where we ended. Close the door. Um, so the next couple that we have to talk about, let's talk about Gabby and Chris, because I
Oh
just
Lord.
like, I mean, we have
Yeah.
to, so let's get it over it. So the
Yeah.
first scene is Gabby has braids.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And they are great. I liked them.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, listen, there's certain parts of the world where the culture is the culture, and there are like certain groups like Dominican Puerto Ricans and who like lean into black hood culture and like blackness in a way that suits them. And so like she has braids, whatever. Okay, so they get to her mom's house and this mother's house, and I looking at her and her mom, I was like, does Gabby get tanned or is her father a dark person? Like,
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you. And when you
yeah.
said that, I was like, oh, I thought when I saw in this mom's house, I was like, oh, is Gabby half black? I thought Gabby was half black.
No, her hair doesn't indicate that she is, even though that's not a true indicator of someone being half black, but like it would not lead me to believe that she is half black. But I think like the culture that she's in New York and New Jersey, like it's not unheard of for Puerto Rican girls to get, or even Dominican girls with straighter hair, Puerto Rican girls with straight hair to get braids. It's just culture. Um, and so, yeah, anyways, but her mother looks like she has a perm, like a straight perm, like a relaxer. So her mother looks like she has curly hair. Just the kind of, it was giving a vibe. But this kitchen, so the kitchen was well decorated. It was black and white themed. The tile was black and white. The backsplashes were white. And I wasn't mad at it. Now the way she was like, "What are you doing here?" Again, Gabby's mother, when your home is well lit and you have a mic on and you ask the person who is on the reality show what they're doing here, it is weird for us as an audience.
Okay, so I agree. It's interesting because this scene is beyond fake in 1 billion ways, right? So that's a glaring example of just like, a rational one. Here's another one. The entire time, Chris cannot stop laughing as if he's in an SNL skit and he's Andy Samberg or whatever. Was it Andy Samberg, the one that kept breaking in the early aughts? I don't know. Like he is like, like the mom is being super mean and he like couldn't think it's funnier, like he also looks stoned out of his mind. Now, this isn't so as fake as this is, we're like, well, who's what? And this seems so fake, and they're all like doing this to be on TV, I guess, or like be famous, or like, it's like this is such a scene. And then what happens next is so glaringly, the next part of this is so glaringly real that we can't even, that it's like, what's happening, you
Yeah,
know?
but let me focus, and there's so many sweet
I know.
morsels of details in this kitchen. So the mother's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "I came here with a surprise guest." And so then he enters, and the mother's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you with my daughter? I don't like you," because she pretends to like you. Gabby, meanwhile, starts to cut a mango and then passes piece of that mango over to Chris, who like eats the mango and is like, "Man, I can't get something to eat or something. Like, I thought I was gonna at least get a meal." And she's like, "You're eating a mango. You're welcome." And then she's like, "Well, you know what? Since you're not going to leave, I have some questions that she's not going to ask you. So why are you talking to other women?" And so then he like is like, "I wasn't talking. I already told her." And Gabby is silent as a gargoyle statue, just like sitting there, like allowing this conversation to happen. And then like he then tells the mother that he was in trouble, he got put in prison because he was in a car where there was a gun. And but then he got more time because he had a federal case because he was robbing drug dealers. I was like, "Oh, were you robbing drug dealers to give back to the families of those afflicted by drug addiction?" Like, "Oh, you were that big and bad as this." He looks like a praying mantis. He looks like a crispied, fried praying mantis, like a stick figure. He just looks like a giant insect. And he's just like, I was like, "Oh, oh my God, stop it." Ugh. I was like, "Oh my God, are you like you're robbing drug dealers? You're that?" I mean, because you got to be big and bad to rob drug dealers because they usually have all of the guns and all of the like protection and all that stuff. So then I was like, "This sounds dumb." And then she says, "Oh, Gabby's the dumb one who's with you, but I'm not. So I'm going to bed. Good night." And when she turns her back, Gabby does this thing that like, hood, like people do when you want to fight somebody, but you don't want to like let them know, or like you just like come at them and you just like, I don't know what this action is called, but she like did this to her mother like she was gonna fight her. And I was like, "No, bitch, don't wait for your mother to turn her back around before you have something to say. If he's gonna fight her, let's fight her on camera because I want to see it."
Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, like yeah, this is all of it is so weird, and I don't, yeah, I just don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's real. I don't, this
Talk
just
about the second part.
okay, so moving on. So then we get a Gabby walking through like an official looking courtyard. At this moment, I'm like, oh, it's her like court day where she has to deal with the fact that she like yelled at some security person at a bar. She's like dressed kind of like profesh on top, and then has furry slides. And then she starts to recount this really horrible story. So it's involving DV, so domestic abuse, sorry, and domestic violence. So trigger, God bless. And they give 1-800 numbers after the episode for this. So the episode ends with this scene, which is that she talks about the fact that she looked over and Chris had been texting someone, and he grabbed the phone. She saw that he was texting people, and then she said very calmly for him to leave the place, and he was like, "This is my place." And then he started beating her for like 3 hours, that she called the cops and then just left it on and put it in her pocket, and so they could just hear everything, and they do like the tracking, like come to get her because of like ID check. And that when he came to get her, he was charged with um assault, that she had like multiple broken bones and like broken teeth, that he was obviously taken away, and she has a restraining order against, and that he had tried to even violate the restraining order by asking for the charges to be dropped, and she was like, absolutely fucking not, you broke my bones and my teeth.
Yeah, and I wanted to see pictures, but that was me just in that moment. I was like, "Why don't they show us pictures of it?" Like, I mean, I know people pictures have been all over the internet and folks have seen the video and whatever. I don't condone, I don't like support it, but I have a hard time feeling sympathy for her because she was such a terrible character throughout this entire event. Like, she was just the worst. He was terrible too. I'm glad that he's back in prison.
I mean, it was interesting because it's just like I'm happy they didn't show it because at this point, if that's what's happening, then I no longer want to hear about this couple and take them off the show. You know, so I don't want to like fetishize like having seen more of this. It feels like okay, that's done. They're done. Put a fork in them. And yeah, she also has, yeah, you're right, as you said. And so if anyone wants more information, has been like diligently updating on this topic on social media, her thoughts and feelings. So there's more information out there if you want it about that. And yeah, she also has a good relationship with her mom. I will say one thing, Chris is not a smart character. So I don't believe that he like stole money from drug dealers. To me, it seems dumb as fuck to be someone who would steal money from drug dealers and have whole scenes where your whole mom's face is planted all over America and she's just riding the train. Because to me, it seems like if anyone wanted to get back at you, like this doesn't seem like smart play of someone who's actually masterminding like criminal enterprises and or has the wherewithal to rob people who have like extra security. I think that if Chris robbed anyone, it was just like people that were underneath him in some way in their like defense. You know what I'm saying? It was an easier targets is what I should say than drug dealers. I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
that's
I
all I have
mean,
to say.
she just wasn't a good character. She was just silent and angry all the time and doubled down. She was better as a character when he wasn't there. As soon as he got there, she was just miserable and really, I mean, she was miserable before. Like, it was really annoying when she was like, I'm gonna be with Chris because I love him so much. Blah, 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 blah. He gave me all this money. But as soon as the money stopped, we really did see that she expected him to like be under her foot the entire time. And it was just like annoying. So anyways, the next couple or the last couple, is that the last? No, next. I don't know. Cameron and Aries. Is that her name? Oh, we
Yeah, we
have
still have
Eric and
Monique
Monique
and
still.
Derek, so we have
Yeah.
two more left.
Oh Lord. Okay. So Eric and Cameron, or whatever, Aries and
Eris and
Cameron.
Cameron.
So first scene with them that we have, what did I write down?
Okay, so the first thing we have is he goes to the bar
Oh
and he's
yeah.
gonna order he wants to order a drink before he meets her daughter, but he's like, he like tells the bartender everything. He's like me. He's like, I want to order a drink so bad, but I can't order liquor, so I guess I'll order a soda. At one sort so he gets a soda and then it cuts back to him. He's like, I'm really nervous because I'm gonna meet, my girlfriend's daughter. And then at that point, I'm like, is he literally telling that to the bartender? Like, who's he telling that to? Because on the other side, Eris is now talking to her daughter, who's gorgeous. This girl named Lena. Oh my God, I cannot get over this beautiful little girl's face. About how you're gonna meet this guy, but our relationship is really important, and you have to like him because but it's really important that you like him, blah 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 blah, because we're gonna get married like tomorrow. Here he is.
Yeah, but let me tell you, because of the way he speaks and the fact that I wasn't looking at the screen because they did put captions, it sounded like he says, I want to lick her butt. Instead of saying, I want liquor, but I had to rewind it to hear what she said. Cause I said, did he tell this bartender that he wanted to lick her butt?
He's like, listen, I really need her to sit in my face. And I've been talking about that the entire time. So anyway, my name is Cameron. So I'll get a Pepsi.
So we have this daughter who's 9 years old. And honestly, and I hate to be this person because I feel like Black women, it's like a problem in the Black community with like aging up Black girls because of the way they look. But maybe it's because she was so tall, but she looked like she was like 11 or 12 to me. When they said she was 9 years old, I was like, oh, she gonna be tall. That's what I thought. But social media and children's access to different things now, we have so many options for them to see stuff. I think that it's only natural evolution that children are a little bit more mature now because of the access to everything. But yeah, she was so cute. And she was talking about how scared she was to take the flight by herself. Her mom was there. And I love the way Eris was with her daughter. Just like you could tell that they have a good relationship. And then Cameron is nervous, which is good because you should be nervous when you're about to bring two women in your life who require you to be stable and a good guy. And so then they sit down and they have a little bit of an awkward conversation. He's doing his best, but you can tell he is nervous. He asks her questions and tries to be like funny and cute with things. And I'm like, she's definitely never dealt with no hood person like you before. Like you are giving off, like you are outside of her, the zeitgeist of her world of like who she would normally interact with. Like maybe she's got some cousins or some like her uncles might be a little rough around the collar, but I think Cameron's probably the roughest dude she's ever had to have a conversation with. And she was surprised how short he was. I was like,
I
yeah, bro,
loved it.
y'all are going to be taller than him.
Yep.
Yeah, then we get a little backstory about her and her situation. And it made me feel for Eris and made me think like how strong of you, like, to have gone through something like that, to be swept up in love with some accent wielding gentleman. He was giving Sherlon vibes, was he
I
not?
know it. I was like, he's Jam okay, listen, I don't wanna say it, but I was like, I wonder what he's from.
No,
Maybe
he's a
Jamaica?
Caribbean. He's Caribbean. He's
Yeah, no,
Caribbean.
I think maybe
Yeah.
go on.
For him to
Sorry.
have been here illegally and then to like fathered 3 children, he was living his life. And it's so funny because it's so easy. It's not very hard to live in this country illegally. You could still find work and you can still like do stuff. So to actually get deported means that you was like on some other stuff trying to like be extra and you forgot you were illegal.
Or, like, one of the other moms get upset and whatever, but then I don't know. 'Cause it
Yeah.
was that yeah, sorry, let me just finish the sentence. So, yeah, he gets, as Wah said, 3 women at the same time pregnant, okay? So, it could be and obviously, that's very intense. Eris did not know that he was even dating anyone else. So, like, we don't know if one of the other women also probably thought that he was only dating them, and maybe this was, like, a way to get back at him because she had been wronged. I don't know, could be. Or that you're right, he got himself into extra business that took him out, that if he hadn't got in, there would have been no need to have certain documents or the non-documents shot have come to light. So yeah, so we are going bowling. Cameron's like, "You're gonna lose." Now they've talked, Cameron and Lena, so they have like a relationship over FaceTime and phone. So they have like a little like jokiness back and forth. And of course, Cameron's a little jokester, little yes, and also jokester because he's funny, ha ha ha. And they're like bowling. Now, listen, I don't know how often they bowl, but none of these people are bowling right. They're all bowling with the sides up. So, and definitely Cameron doesn't even know what bowling is. Doesn't know the game, actually, doesn't know what it is.
It was cute. It was a cute little fun family outing. And I the next step is the wedding. And
Mhm.
then we have the thing that made me laugh so hard because he's getting ready and family is there. They're doing pictures and whatnot. There's a whole conversation about how Lena is this like young, cute face, and she's gonna put a little makeup on, or maybe she's not. I'm not sure. But let me just say the one thing before I forget it, because I didn't write it down, is that when it's like, okay, Cameron, here we come, and dad too, and there's this like cardboard cutout of this man's dad. Now the story behind it is sad, but they didn't tell us the story before they brought us the cutout, and I just started to die laughing when I saw the cutout of that man's father.
Okay, well, first of all, that's okay. So then Eris is like, look, there's not a lot of people who get to come to this wedding on my side. I only get to have my best friend because my dad, who had served some time in prison, isn't happy about the fact that I'm with Cameron because he doesn't like the fact that Cameron was in prison because he feels like he's using me. So, when I saw that man, I was like, holy shit, they got Eris's dad. I thought it was Eris's dad. That's what I'm trying to say. I thought that they had gotten a cardboard cutout to not only be there, I thought for some reason someone was gonna be behind the man to walk.
Walk her down
Yeah,
the
I
aisle.
thought it was there to walk her down the aisle. But no, God bless, that is actually Cameron's dad, not Eris's dad, and Cameron's dad unfortunately died, like, maybe a couple of days after he last saw him. But I was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Also, I love Cameron's sisters. So, like, I'm gonna tell you this right now, Cameron's sisters were not adequately represented at this wedding for my taste level. Well, yeah, I
That
like one I needed them to say readings or whatever. So basically, yeah, so let's out. So if you're on Patreon, you just know that I just hurt my elbow. So this wedding starts, and for a moment, my love, I think it's in a parking lot, but I realize it's in a park which makes me sense now. But when at first, one angle of it is like, why are there cars right there? Why are they on asphalt? I didn't know. There is a person, an ordained minister doing it, and she seems nice. By the way, I am an ordained minister in the Universal Life Church. Just if you ever feel like you need someone fabulous to marry you, think about it. Um, and they do their ceremony, and he, is a rapper and an artist. So they're like, he's like, I'm gonna do my thing, and he like from his heart, says that he'll always be there for her in his own way. And then, she has to do her vows, and she takes her vows from like a piece of paper from her bosom. By the way, she's wearing this dress, my loves, that's like a bunch of like marabou up here. It's like a bodycon white marabou, like yes, it had to come last minute. She's happy with it. It's such a choice, like it's marabou's she has this like gold piece in her hair, so I guess it really she wanted to go to like an old Hollywood theme. What?
Can I just explain to the people who have no idea what marabou is? It's like feathers. Go ahead.
Yeah, marabou is when you have a what does Harry Styles always wear? A boa? A feather boa. Like, oh
Mm.
no, that's a feather boa. You know how sometimes feather boas are feathers, but then sometimes boas are like that poofy, weird feather looking thing that's okay. You do your own research, my loves. Listen, I'm no artist. I'm no like fabric artist. So yeah, Kendra is there, her best friend. She has a girl named Ebony do her makeup artist. Cameron has a lot of people there. Cameron loves red. Cameron's wearing a full red suit, honey, for this wedding. And then later on in life, in his confessional, he's also wearing red. At one point during the wedding, also, we're going back and forth this way. And this is the weird moment for me. She like walks down the aisle. Is this a thing? And he has his back to her, and then she taps him on the shoulder. And then he turns around, almost like he's surprised. Like, hey, anyway, so oh, like, is that the first look? It was so interesting.
You know what? I think they did their best with like 2 days notice, and the dress, it was a choice. It sure was. But I love the fact that the officiant was really good. And then they had the moment where all three of them were holding hands, which I thought was super sweet. And then I know there's a part you hated where he like shook up the wine and like the champagne and like pretend like he was jizzing over the side of the like thing. And I was like, why do men like have to put it at their penis? Because all it makes me think of is like lots of jizz or like fucking pee,
Yeah, you're right.
um let's move on to our very last couple. Thank God, thank God, thank God,
Okay.
which is these two fools. um
Can't. Okay. No. Help.
So Derek has a lot of siblings, and not many of them are in and out of prison. Like it is a whole family situation. So, woo, we have the whole moment where he's like, "I need time on my own," so he goes outside, and she is just tracking him like a little hound dog, and he goes out and he has this conversation with this woman who he at the time supposes and thinks is this CO that was down bad for him. And he met this CO through his brother, who I'm assuming is Darren, the one we meet at the end of this
Oh,
segment. Or
yeah, yeah,
maybe it's
yeah.
not his brother. Maybe it's another brother he met through prison. I don't know. Somehow this CO got in contact with him from another prison. And of course, like what's her name? Justine? I don't know her name. The one from the nurse, the prison nurse. Like you can't date people who are in prison. Also, from like one of the other seasons of Love After Lockup, there was another prison guard who got caught up with a prisoner, and then they ended up not working out. She lost her whole career over this fool, and they ended up working out. But anyways, so they blocked out her face and they changed her voice, which is good so that she doesn't lose her job over this idiot. But we find out that this is a girl from the hood like him, who he is now worried is gonna like truly act up now that she realizes that he's out of prison and he didn't contact her, because now we realize that he was playing her the whole time, and he tries to downplay it like he wasn't. But that's why he's worried about what she's going to do, because the entire time he was talking to both her and Monique, probably taking money from her, probably all kinds of stuff. And then when he gets out of prison, he just is like, yeah, I mean, we were cool or whatever, but how you feeling?
He's like, "Leave me alone." She's like, "Ha! Do you know who I am?" Yeah, well, in her own way. She sounds interesting. She sounds her voice has, like, a very, um I think that she might be a little big too. She has a big girl voice.
But they blocked it out.
Huh, maybe
Did
I'm
they
wrong.
not?
Maybe
Oh.
I'm wrong. Monique calls her sister and at the same time, and her sister is like tells the whole thing about like, I went on a crazy car chase. The sister's like, wow, this is just too much. I mean, come on. And then yeah, they're like, she's just like the sister's like, what is wrong with all of his family? They just want to be up under him, smelling him, obsessed, And this like Monique versus Derek's family thing is so interesting. Like, I
Yeah,
don't quite understand it.
she's like, "Right." She just wanted it's like it's gotta be this weird thing where you keep messing up and making stupid decisions, and you keep not giving your nephew things and buying somebody else some shit, but then the only person you can talk to is your the nephew's mother about what's going on in your life. And you like, also, here's a little bit of information that I found because I was on Instagram and I watched like a little bit of, every time the show airs, either Monique and Derek go live or Monique and her sister go live.
Mm,
And so you get little tidbits about these show, and we find out
mhm.
that Monique just got her license 2 months before they started filming. Did you know that?
You told me.
Oh, yeah. So like the time we're all making fun of her because she doesn't know how to drive and do all these things, like she just got her license. And I'm just like, you know what? Here's the truth.
What?
Unless you live in a major metropolitan area where there is the best
Yep.
transportation,
Yeah.
I think it's weird when people don't know how to drive. Even if you don't have a car, right? Even if you haven't been able to afford a car, like the like it's weird to me, especially in Southern California because I know people who like don't drive. And I'm like, why? Why? What is wrong with you? Why would you not learn how to do a necessary, like you just depend on people. You're just like like how do you function as, I mean, people do. I know they do. I know they do. I'm not talking about people who are disabled. I'm not talking about, the extreme. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about somebody who's just like maneuvering through the world depending on everyone else to take them around. It's just so weird to me.
I mean, listen, I get it. I get it. So let's talk about this. So he obviously needs to leave, and she, as you said, can track him, and he has this conversation with this woman, and like it ends by him being like, we gotta talk, we gotta talk. Okay, so then he's on the road again, and we're like, oh, is he gonna go meet up with that woman? But he doesn't. He goes to a jewelry store, like Robin's Brothers, honey. I don't know, the jewelry exchange in Tustin. I'm not quite sure exactly where it is, honey, but he goes in and he's like, "Yeah, I just really wanna buy an engagement ring because I just love," and we're like, "Is it," I still in this moment we're like, "The correction officer?" But he's like, "No, it's Monique. I love Monique, it's Monique and I wanna have it just to have. I gotta, like, see if things, like, work out more." So as he's at this as he's at this jewelry store, Monique is, like, calling him. He's, like, saying no. He won't answer. And then we cut to the jewelry store, and the landline of the jewelry store rings, and for a moment, I think it's Monique calling, like, having been like, "Oh, I can see you're at Robin's Brothers in, whatever I don't know what city they're in." And then, be like, "Ring, ring, 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 ring," like, had to, like anyway, you did it. You
Yep. I
said it
thought the
too?
same thing.
He just says he loves her, that he needs to get his act together, so he just wants to have a ring and hold it. Um, so then he picks up the phone and he's like, "Hey, Monique, what's up?" And she's like upset that he answered it that way. And then she's like asking him like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you this? Why are you being this? Why are you sketchy? Why aren't you answering? What's wrong?" She's like, he's like, "Did you get out of the hotel room?" She's like, "Yes, I had to get all the luggage. I had to carry it up myself the stairs." She's like, "Well, it's a little good workout, right?" She's like, pissed. Um, yeah, and then we meet his brother Donnie, who comes in has long dreads and does that like thing where his like head's down, where like it just looks like, I mean, his dreads are so long you can barely see his face, like they're covering a multitude of sins. I'm like, what's happening back there? Like it kind of looked like, how sometimes you go into like hippy dippy shops and they have like a door frame, that's just all like beads,
Uh-huh,
just like
uh-huh.
You have to walk through it. Like that's what he kind of like. It's the dreads were very long. And then we have his other brother, Darren. I don't know if like I don't know who
Yeah, Donnie,
Derek's parents.
Darren, Derek, like what
Derek's mom is like Kris Jenner, where she named all of her kids like D names instead of K names, but she like was just like if it's my child, honey, their name starts with a D. That's how
yeah, I
listen, their life started with a D and now their name will too. Ha ha ha. Go ahead, Wa.
yeah. That's funny. Life started with a D. um yeah, so listen, he walks into this jewelry store who the retailer has decided that they are not going to spend an ounce of money on the decor.
None.
They have cases where the jewelry is. There's basically a folding table behind him that has all of, I guess, some stuff that he would need up front. He'd got not a drawer, not a cabinet. He has nothing. It's just like you walk into and I was like, this is why Derek walks in there and he was like, how much you gonna give me for that? Like the way he was talking to this man was like he was like wholesaling at a market because of the way that this environment is set up. I mean, the carpet is like indoor outdoor carpet, like of an office. It's like this man put no energy into this space and he just brought like thousands of dollars worth of diamonds in there. So I think it's so interesting that people who most likely did not grow up in a two-parent household, or maybe even those that did, somehow equate growing up with getting married. Like they truly don't understand that those two things are not the same. You should marry somebody when you have decided that that person is going to be your life partner, and that come hell or high water and through thick or thin, you will stay with them to support them and help them through life. And so it's interesting to me that someone thinks of it as some kind of rite of passage, or, you need to be like, well, I got to do something for her. Like, and also like, why do sometimes men think that the marriage is for the woman? No. The marriage is for you,
Mhm.
because like women die faster when they marry and men live longer when they marry. So it is not for her. It is for you to have someone to take care of you, because a woman will be able to take care of herself and her pickney all by herself. So then the next thing is that the brother comes in, and I was like, this brother was in prison? Oh, he was somebody's bitch, Chris.
Oh no, that's what you thought of Darren in a Gucci baseball cap and a green shirt?
I mean, that man is the skinniest little person I've ever seen in my life. Yeah,
Well, so
he
mom,
was
so what do you
underneath
think? So
someone.
Cameron, I'm sorry, Derek. So you think Derek would also have been? Because
I mean, I
Derek
think
is tiny.
no, I think Derek would have fought them off. This other brother can't fight anybody. He did not use his time in the prison system to do his diamond push-ups or anything. This person looks run through. This person was giving very much like, I mean, he walked in and he was about to cry with his, I mean, he's crying with, I don't know if the camera made him cry. I don't know what was happening. It was like weird. But he's like, this is my brother. We used to live together before, and we both got out of prison together. And I was like, wow.
So many things. While he cried, I thought because he hasn't seen his brother in a hot minute. And because, yeah, that's why he cried. He hasn't seen his brother. They love each other. Also, diamond push-ups is like a very specific, perfect prison thing. I mean, like, because you could have just said pull-ups, something that is like, well, obviously we're gonna do pull-up, but like diamond push-ups are horrible. What horrible things. Yeah, like, yeah, again, yeah, this jewelry was like a pop-up shop, like I wanted to know, like, is there like security guards there? It is crazy. And is everything real? I mean, in my mind, I'm like, how could everything be real here? But basically, the brothers are like, look, you shouldn't buy a ring. I mean, you shouldn't just get married right away. I love it when the brother's like, you should take time and like work on you. You know what I'm saying? Ha ha ha. And then they're like, let's go do this. And he's like, yeah, man, no, Monique, knows where I am because she bought me this phone. And they're like, what? They're like, yeah, let me see. Let me show you how to take off the location services. Honey, go to settings. You just go like, boop, the boop, and she can't see you. Yeah, the brothers are like, great, let's go be bad.
Yeah. I mean, Monique is a whole fool for trying to control that man. And I truly do not believe they're together now. I think I think he's emancipated himself from her, and she is living from the drama that is happening on the interwebs right now. Like
I think they're together.
Oh, they don't live in the same space. They did a live the other day and he was somewhere else. And
Okay.
I mean, if he chose to go into the other room, I don't know, maybe for framing purposes. But
I don't
yeah,
know.
word
I
on the
just
street
thought
is that
so.
they're not together and like
Oh.
she is still bothering him for like, hey, just be my friend or whatever. And he's like, nah, I'm good.
N
Which is what he needs to do because she is she needs to fix her shit. She needs to fix her whole entire self before she tries to ensnare somebody into her um she is using him just as much as he's using her, is my mind.
Totally, totally. Yeah, I honestly I want to deep dive into the internets and find out what's actually happening with Ashley and Travis because as I have cemented this episode right now, they're my favorite characters, my favorite couple, and that's who I want to know like all the juicy tea. It feels very real, where other people don't feel real. Even Gabby and Chris, which obviously had a lot of realness in this episode, that's like what I was trying to say. Like the first scene that we saw of Gabby and Chris felt like a fucking SNL sketch done poorly, and the second thing is like horrible and real. So it's like
I also think that I think that next week is the last episode, right? Because we finished Gabby and Chris's story and we also finished um wait, who else did we finish? Oh, I think we finished Cameron and Aries.
how did I can see that, but, like, so Ashley and Travis's story ends day 5. All you guys know this 2 weeks after okay, so it was 4 days out of prison, and then we have to assume that when we pick up in the hotel, it was 2 weeks after that day.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I wanna know more. There we have got to the end, we did see scenes for the next episode, so I don't remember them saying it was the final episode, but, we'll tell you if it happens.
I feel like it has to be, or at least like one more, maybe two, because like then we're gonna go into life after lockup with Justine and our homegirl is coming back with the jaw. What's her name?
Jo job Job I was gonna say Puppy's coming back, and we have all the people. Oh,
Is Puppy coming back?
yeah.
Amber and Puppy?
Yes.
I love it. Okay, no, what's her face? Deontay's and
Oh, Lindsay. Lindsay
Lindsay,
and
yeah.
Blaine. Well, Deontay's
Lindsay and
gone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Lindsay and Blaine are coming back. So I'm just like, oh my God. Isn't it so interesting? Like when we're in the seasons watching it, we're like, okay, I'm tired of them, tired of them. But then like when we hear that they're coming back, we're like, Lindsay and Blaine.
I know. And Lindsay follows us on Instagram, so maybe
Oh,
we can,
does she?
like,
So
try and work something up.
she wasn't mad at my commentary because she was like, you when you did the cameo. You know, when you did the
Yeah, it's
cameo,
a
she's like, I
cameo.
don't know who you guys are. And I'll check it out and hope we don't talk too much shit. And I'm like, oh God, what did I say about her?
Honey, I mean, there's worse out there. The vloggers out there are really horrible, as Cameron says. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for listening to us. If you want to be like Lindsay and follow us on social media, I think you should. We're DocuSweeties on Instagram, DocuSweeties on TikTok, and DocuSweeties1 on Twitter. Now, this entire time, honey, we've been streaming our faces. And if you want to see that, you can. Wow, how?
At DocuSweeties, patreon.com/DocuSweeties. That's what you should. My mind just exploded. Patreon.com/DocuSweeties, where you can see the visuals of what you're hearing for only $10 a month. We also have exclusive content that is on our Patreon. Right now, we have Killer Sally. We also have Call Me Now, Call Me Miss Cleo on there. Who knows when we're going to add that to the free feed? Who knows? But right now on the free feed, we do have Madoff. So, listen to all the things that we've got going on. And other things you can find us on is maybe TikTok, but never Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like we
That's
have all
not
those things.
true.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not the social media person. You are.
Yeah, that's why it's not true. Look before you talk, honey. I'm there and I'm tweeting. So, we have some fun collabs coming up. So if you hear us anywhere, make sure you like tell us that you heard us so that we know that like, if a tree falls on a wood, that like it actually falls. It actually falls is what I said. Dear God, I love you guys so much. We're very into you. We're so thankful for you to listen. Please give us 5 stars. Please, forgive us of all of our
Sends.
ramblings.
All right, you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.